Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the rear wing for the rear wing project. I got SolidWorks 25 loaded up here, and this is just kind of general guideline for the different tools and techniques used. Feel free to use this, and good luck with y'all's rear wings. So to get started here, we're going to just open up a new SolidWorks part, right? New standard part. Throw it in here. Now, I have the units set to IPS, so inch pound second, just everything imperial because that's what we use to work on the actual car. Now here's what we're going to do. First off, we have to import an airfoil. So we're going here to airfoiltools.com. Now that I'm in here, I have the NACA 6412 airfoil loaded up just because it's my personal favorite. You can choose whatever you want. It's really just up to you. Now, it says cord in millimeters here. The units themselves don't transfer over. Only the coordinates themselves do. So if we were to just take these coordinates, put them in SolidWorks, you get a 100-inch or 100-inch long rear wing. We're not really looking for that. I'm looking for something closer to like 20 inches. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to hop in here, just put 20 down, hit enter. It's going to, yep, there we go. It's going to calculate the coordinates. And now that we have those coordinates, we're going to go CSV file, save as, and just find yourself a good location to save these coordinates under. Just call it cord raw file. Once you have those coordinates saved, go ahead and open them up in File Explorer. File Explorer is taking a while to load. I don't know why File Explorer of anything is lagging behind, but here we go. Do open with Excel. Now that we have these, now that we have the coordinates loaded up, we're looking at the X and Y coordinates. So you're just going to highlight these suckers here. And we're going to copy these coordinates. Put them up over here and paste them in. Now, notice we only have an X and a Y set of coordinates. We need to add in a Z set of coordinates. So we're going to have the 0 here. And then we're just going to click and drag this down. Perfect. Now we have an X, a Y, and a Z set of coordinates, which is exactly what SolidWorks is looking for. So we're going to just highlight this set of coordinates here. Control C. We're going to open up a notepad document. Once we're in here, just Control V those coordinates in. File, save as. Do NACA 6412 process, and make sure you save it as a .text file. Once you have all that saved, just going to minimize all these suckers here. Now that right now we're in our SolidWorks document. Notice how we're in a sketch currently. You want to exit that sketch. Go to Insert, Curve, and curve through XYZ points. Once you're in here, you're going to hit Browse. Now notice right now it's looking for solid curve files. You're going to take this, make it a .text file, open up the set of coordinates, and there we go. Now we have a nice little airfoil in here. Now this is just a curve file. It's not an actual like sketch you can do things with. So what we're going to want to do is select the plane. There's 3 planes here. We've got a front, top, and right plane. Because this curve is on our right plane, I'm going to select that. Go to Sketch to start a sketch on this plane. We're going to click the curve itself, Offset Entities, and we're just going to choose 0. And there we go. You can see now we have a nice little outline of how it's going to look. Hit the X or the check mark, and bang. Now we have an actual sketch of our wing in here. Head to the rear of the wing. Choose the line tool to close up this little gap back here. And now we have a fully functional airfoil. We're going to go Features, Extrude Boss Base. And now we can extrude this airfoil out however long we need it to. Now, we're going to mirror this airfoil over. So I want it to be 30 inches long, but I'm only going to extrude it out 15 inches because we're going to basically duplicate it over in the next couple of steps, right? Actually, we're going to duplicate it over the next couple of steps. Hit OK. And now we have just a nice little airfoil in here. We're going to File, Save As, wait a while for SolidWorks to load. While it's loading, now's a great time to thank our sponsors over at 97 Industries. If you guys go to www.97industries.com, go check out the website. Let me know if you have any feedback on that. Thank you for sponsoring this video. Perfect. So now we're in here. We're going to go to Desktop, Front Wing Tutorial, and we're just going to call this Airfoil 1. Perfect. Now that we have Airfoil 1, we can head into the assembly that we have going. We're going to do Insert Components, Airfoil 1, and we're just going to slap this sucker in here. Now, I'm going to make a 2-element rear wing. You can choose however many elements you want, but I just wanted to show how you would do this process with more than one, because it's a pretty simple process. It just, takes a little bit of trial and error to get to. So now we have these two identical copies of airfoils in here. What we're going to do is we're going to select the upper one, and I'm just going to give it an arbitrary amount of angle. Let's call it, I don't know, that much. You can fine tune this, and there's a lot of science going into exactly how much angle you give it, but it's fully up to you. Now we go to the mate. We're going to select this side and this face, and we're going to make them coincident. No, we're going to make them parallel. Basically what that means is now they're going to always be, like, these sides are always going to be parallel to each other. If we select coincident, that means they're always going to be touching each other. So if I were to do this, for example, right? Now, I can drag this airfoil wherever, but no matter where I drag it, it's always going to be lined up. It's always going to be lined up with this edge. So I can drag it back to here, and now those two edges are going to be perfectly aligned, which is exactly what we want. Now we're just going to make a quick little end plate here. So we're going to, let's figure out how big this section is. We're going to measure. Just measure the front point of this wing and the rear point of this wing. All right, now this tells me there's about 40 inches of space between them. So if I make a 40-inch end plate, that should cover it all. And there's about 9 inches of space between them, so I'll bump it up to, say, 12. Make a 12 by 9 square here, and that should be our end plate. So we should open up here, part, okay. Now here, we're going to drag this sucker out and this sucker out. Make this one, what do we say? We said 40 inches should be enough, so 40 inches. And then this one, we're going to make 12 inches, just like so. Now we have those done. We can just complete this end plate as so. And you can add different shapes to it if you want, cutouts. One tool I would like to mention is this tool right here. It's called the fillet tool. You click it, you click a corner, and it'll round the corner off for you. So let's say here, clear selections. I'm going to make a 3-inch fillet, right? I go up to here and I click this. Basically what it does is now this is the arc of a circle that has 3 inches of radius. So if you were to trace this all the way out in a circle pattern, it would basically make a circle 3 inches of radius. Now we have to round off a lot of the corners on the actual car per the regulations. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that just to kind of demonstrate. Now that we have our end plate shape down, extrude boss base, and we're going to make it 1/2 inch thick. It doesn't need to be that thick. Perfect. Hop up here, save, call this end plate 1. And now we can throw it into the assembly and I can show you how to make it up. Go to Insert Components, end plate 1. And you'll notice it's a little bit, it's a little bit askew. It's facing the wrong way. If you just click on this, it brings up this nice little triad here where I can now rotate this 270 degrees exactly. And let's do 90 degrees exactly. Perfect. Now if I drag this, let's see. Now if I go in here, I go to Mate. I click on the inside surface of the end plate. I click on where I want that surface to mate to. And there we go. But you notice now it's sticking out over here. Now, because we have the end plate mated, we can click and drag it around, and we can just kind of fine-tune the angle on it, and we can fine-tune all the sizing and stuff. And you know, you can relatively eyeball it, but if you want something a little more precise, what you can do is, if you go up here to Mate, we're going to click on this point here, and we're going to click on the center point here. That's now going to lock these 2 points together. So now, no matter what I do to this, it's always going to be locked to that point. Well now, okay, now this airfoil's down here. Another thing that we can do is you can line this up exactly how we want it to sit. Let's just call it that, right? If I go in here to Mate, I can click the end plate, and then I can click this, and I can do lock. And that'll basically just lock the two together. So now, if I go in here and I try to drag it, can't drag it, can't drag it. This is all a fixed assembly, which is exactly what we want. Now, I had a couple questions today about how we're going to make the mounts, right? Because I had a requirement that had to mate to a specific plate. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how to mock that up now. A good way of doing this is just by modeling or remodeling the airfoil file. So you come in here, right? We're going to actually edit this sketch down. Instead of just having it as this wing, I'm going to add a spline tool here. We go from this back edge, and I'm just going to curve it up like so. Then I can take my line tool and just make it out to here, out to there, and I'll have it come back to right there. Okay, now you notice this is a kind of odd shape, and we have this little area dividing here. So if you go to Trim Entities, click and drag, cut that top piece off, bang. Now this is all one continuous object. And what I can do is if I come in here and I do, let's see, 1/4 inch hole there, and line it up, 1/4 inch hole there. Also, just a quick note, you're inputting radius, right? So 1/4 inch is 0.25, radius is half of diameter, so 0.125. Now here's the cool bit. This Smart Dimension tool, what it allows me to do is select the midpoint of this circle, midpoint of this circle, tells me exactly how far apart they are. Now I can adjust that here. If I can make them exactly 1 inch apart, and it'll pull them together. I can then do something cool where I can take this line and the center of this circle, and I can say, okay, I want this exactly, let's call it 1.5 inches away, and it'll do that. This dimension tool is a very powerful tool, and it helps make very precise objects. So, now that we have our very oversized mounting bar on here, we can go back, we can exit the sketch, just hit this little blue icon here. Let's see, feature will have an error. Yeah, SolidWorks does that from time to time. So here's what we're going to do then. We're going to delete the extrude, come back here into the sketch, and we're going to see where the error is. Yep, probably right here if I had to reckon. So we're going to trim entities, trim that off. And now that should work, I believe. Let's see. Yes, now we have a solid object. Click in here. And there we go. Yep, perfect. Now I'm going to make this just 1 inch. Cool. Now we have a mount. Now what I can do here is if I go to up here, I go to Save As. We're going to do Save as Copy and Continue. Now we're going to change this to Mount Bar 1. Now that that's been changed, I can head back into the assembly. And for whatever reason, it's now calling upon these to be the old shape, right? This is something, oh, we can just Control Z at all this now that these are two separate parts, just to revert it back to its original shape. Might have gone a little bit far there, but you get the point. I can now take this, put it like so. Features, extrude boss base, and once again make it 15 inches long. So now we have the airfoil as so. Now every time you change something, right, you see the mates are very unhappy. That's because we've just changed around some things, but if you wanted to, we can just delete all of these and we can remate it. Doesn't take too long, so I'm just going to do that right now. Click here, here, call it coincident, call it here and here, call it coincident. And just like that, it's all mated back up. Now if we go in here, we go to Insert Components, Browse, and we're going to open up the Mount Bar 1. Now you notice, looks very interesting, but if we go here, go to Mate, select the inside surface, select this surface, make it coincident, perfect. Now how do we line these two up? Well, if we find one section here, so we'll find this line, and then we go to the airfoil, and we find the same line, there we go. Now they match up perfectly. And look at that nice smooth transition there. Excellent. Now one thing that we can do up here is you can individually change objects. So in here, right, we have boss extrude. If I wish to edit this feature, so must be saved from this command. I'm just going to save the assembly, assembly 1. Save all the individual components, that way it doesn't get mad at me. Now that we have this component done, what I can do is I can just click this edge here, and it'll extrude it perfectly out to there, just like so. And just like that, this upper end plate, or this upper element, has been extruded, and this bottom element, oh, it has as well. That is a small problem. So in this case, it'd probably be best to just make these two independent files of each other and only extrude one out. But for this case, I'm just going to leave it as is because it doesn't need to be exactly perfect. Now that we have this mount bar in, what I can do is I can come up here, I go to Mirror Components, I select the face I want to mirror, Components to mirror, we want this one, and this one. Check it out over here, looks good, and bang, just like that, now we have a rear wing assembly with a mount bar, which you can now make holes in to fit whatever you need to fit. And just like that, that's how you go about making your rear wing assembly. If you guys have any questions about this, feel free to reach out. Again, this is just kind of a general showing the different processes at hand and how we do this. Let your imagination run wild, right? This contest is designed to see what you guys can create and what you guys can think up of inside the rules. So please let me know if you have any questions. And if not, that's about it. See ya.